entertainmentbuddha.com.
Hey there, Walking Dead fans. Matt Haywood from entertainmentbuddha.com here to bring you the final video recap and review of The Walking Dead's 5th season. So last night, unless you're living under a rock or maybe living in a pit with a bunch of walkers, Sasha, the finale of the 5th season of The Walking Dead aired on AMC. Before we get to the whole recap and review, just want to say it was a different type of finale for The Walking Dead, at least in my opinion. Most finales of The Walking Dead usually end in some sort of tragedy, main characters getting killed, so on and so forth, and none of that happened at the end of Season 5. The Season 5 finale, I liked it. I did enjoy it. I thought the build-up to it, the whole 90-minute long episode, it was overall pretty good. But I was a little let down that nothing just was like, bam, that just happened, oh my god, I can't wait till next year type of moment. There are definitely few nuggets, cliffhanger nuggets out there, you know, these wolves people and, you know, the ones behind the W on the forehead, so I think there's a good setup for Season 6, but as far as a finale, at least what we've been used to at The Walking Dead, it felt kind of weak, in my opinion. I mean, I hate to say that. Love the show, but I felt like this finale just missed that holy hell moment. I mean, I like the ending and some of the stuff that went down, but there just was not that shocking, in your face. I can't believe they did that. I can't believe they killed another character again. So maybe all the deaths that we had in Season 5 of the main characters were enough payment to the showrunners to not kill anyone, or, you know, some people died, just not key characters in the finale, which was called Conquer. So let's go ahead and get into the recap piece. Alright, so things pick up pretty much right after what happened at the end of last week's episode. So, you know, Rick went nuts on Pete in front of everyone, whipped out his gun, and pretty much said, you guys are a bunch of pussies. I'm the man. I'm He-Man, and I will defend you. I will lead you. I'm going to take over this place. And then Michonne comes in and knocks him the F out. You know what I'm saying? Right in the back of the head. Cold cock style. So, you know, Rick's on the mend. Really what happens at the beginning is kind of get to see the fallout, how everyone else is kind of dealing with it. You know, Maggie goes and talks to Deanna and her husband, and Deanna's like, listen, we got to have a meeting, may have to banish Rick, so on and so forth, where Deanna's husband's like, listen, Maggie, you know, I'm going to stick up for him. I don't want to throw anyone out, because the more people we kick out or do not let in, the more we become like cavemen, these roving bands of people that all eventually were put to death by themselves because they didn't band together and form a community, which this guy pretty much thinks Alexandria is going to be. So we got that going on. One of the best parts of this episode is Morgan finally comes back. In fact, Morgan kicks off Conquer, the Season 5 finale of The Walking Dead. We get to see him. He's sleeping in a car, kind of camping out, having a good time. And then lo and behold, a dude with a W on his forehead sticks him up. Well, he doesn't really even have a loaded gun, but like Morgan's supposed to know that. So whatever, the guy's like, listen, I'm going to steal all your stuff, and I'm going to take you. He was talking about wolves this, wolves that. Nothing really made sense at the time, but eventually his buddy jumps out of the wood, and Morgan goes all Jedi on them. I mean, it's almost like Morgan was fighting like he was blind, like the Book of Eli character, because he really wasn't. He was doing some bow staff action, but he like wasn't even looking. I don't know if he was channeling some sort of Eastern Asian martial arts master, but he'd be like, whaga, 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 and not look at his attackers. But it didn't matter because he kicked their butt, threw them in the car, honked the horn for walkers to come and get them. But as we find out later in the episode, that doesn't happen. Okay, so Morgan's back in the picture. He's still looking for Rick, but more on Morgan and his search for Rick later. Alright, so while that's going on, you got Daryl and Aaron. They're still out looking for new people, but they're actually hunting down that disturbing scene that they came across in last week's episode. So they're looking for the guy that mutilated those bodies, strung up the walker, and etched a W on its forehead. And they find a guy in a red poncho, and they chase him down to a It looks like a food processing plant, so of course they're like, hey, food, maybe we can get cans of food. They go in, and when I saw this, I'm like, okay, this is too convenient. This is obviously a trap of some sort, because you could see, you know, tin cans hanging everywhere, so survivors did something. But whatever. Aaron gets an Alaskan license plate that blows his mind. He's like, woo, Alaska. Remember, he's collecting license plates. So, but in doing so, they're like, all right, listen, we got to get some food, at least go back, make this trip some sort of success. So as they do that, they set off a booby trap. You know, once they open the door of one of these food trucks, all of them open, a bunch of noise starts going off, and all these walkers swarm out and trap Daryl and Aaron in a car. So we'll come back and see how those two got out or didn't get out of that sticky situation. Alright, so back, the other thread kind of going along, we had a mini thread with Eugene. It was more or less a scene to kind of resolve the beef between he and Abe. If you remember earlier in the 5th season, you know, Eugene essentially says, listen, I've been lying to you all. There is no cure. I'm not a scientist. And Abe went a little nuts, took offense to it, knocked him out, almost killed him, and since then the two have not been best of friends. But while tending to Tara, Abe comes in and Eugene apologizes like a man, says, listen, Abe, I was trying to take credit. You are the one that got us here. You are the man. Let's be buddies. High five, bros again. Thank you. So Abe and Eugene are back on better footing with a little help from Rosita. Alright, another character that we've been following and kind of has had her own thread throughout these past couple of episodes is Sasha. Alright, Sasha has gone more or less batshit crazy. She's hauling dead walker bodies out to a hole, and then she lays on top of them. She also comes back and just, you can tell she's off, and that leads to an encounter with Gabriel towards the end of the episode, who also got a little turn in the spotlight this episode. Gabriel, he goes outside, he's like, the faith of God will keep me safe. I don't need weapons. He actually challenges a walker and he kills one for the first time. So that's a first for Gabriel. But he comes back and he's still kind of out of it. You can tell, like, Sasha, something is consuming his soul, which leads him to leave the gate to Alexandria open. Not a good idea, people. You do not want to leave the gate open when there are a bunch of walkers outside, or this wolves cult that we've been teased with. Alright, so we got that going on. All the while, the community of Alexandria, they're planning for Rick's trial. Alright, so Rick's going to be put on trial, and Deanna's going to decide if he gets to stay or not. So obviously, Rick's camp, throughout the trial, they're like, hey man, Rick's the man, he's a little nutty, but guess what? The outside world made him that way, and because of Rick, we are the family that you guys sought. We are so tight because of Rick. That's why we work together. So basically, you can't kick Rick out, even though he is insane. Carol throughout the episode was fantastic. I mean, she is just coming to her own as a strong female character. I mean, she's lying to her own friends now to protect Rick. She's kind of smacking Rick around, saying, you know, toughen up. We gotta lie sometimes. Get tough. We're gonna bust these people. She goes to Pete's house and harasses him and makes threats and basically holds a knife to his chin and says, hit me, punk, I'll kill you. So I love Carol. Alright, so anyways, the Rick trial's going on. Everyone's supporting him. Some of the Alexandria people are like, yeah, listen, I don't know. I don't feel that safe. But Rick, as he goes to the trial, he notices that the door that Gabriel left open is open and there's zombie flesh on it. So he's like, oh shit. Walkers have invaded Alexandria. He goes, chases them down, beats the crap out of them, has a great fight with one. I mean, he literally sits there and rips the dude's head off. I mean, makes him vomit blood on Rick's face and wipes him out. Throws him on his shoulder, walks into his own trial, slaps it down. Everyone's shocked. They're like, oh my god! And Rick's like, listen, someone left the gate open. This is what happened. I told you we're never safe. You guys didn't believe me. That's why you need me here. That's why you need my people here. Because no matter what, zombies, psychos, murderers, disturbed people, wolves people, they will always try to get into Alexandria because we are inside. We cannot pretend that this is normal life. We cannot pretend that we can just be this closed-off society, all right? So people start coming around to Rick. You can see it. Deanna, her husband, the other group, they're like, oh crap, if walkers are getting in here and Rick is killing them with his bare hands, maybe we should keep him around. Alright, so this has happened. Guess who comes out and tries to spoil the fun? Pete. Alright, so he's been locked up. He grabbed what I believe was Michonne's katana, goes to the deal, and essentially threatens to start killing people. Alright, so he wants to go at it with Rick, obviously, because he knows Rick's got the hots for Jesse, and Jesse sided with Rick. Jesse's even standing up for Rick at the trial, so Pete's had enough. And he comes in like, "Rah, rah, 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 I got the sword, I'm gonna kill you." And what happens? Well, Deanna's husband tries to diffuse the situation, and in the process of doing so, he gets his throat slit by Pete. So now everyone tackles Pete. Everyone's mad at Pete. Deanna's freaking out. Her husband's slowly gurgling and dying to death in her arms, to which she responds by turning to Rick and saying, essentially, "You know what to do." And Rick now has the green light to kill Pete like he has wanted to all along, and puts a cap in his ass. Just as Daryl, Aaron, and none other than Morgan roll in to witness him doing so. Alright, so remember, Daryl and Aaron, they get trapped in this car, and as they're about to give up, they decide, hey, we're going to go out and fight. And just as they start bailing out of the car, who comes to save them? Morgan. And he says, listen, guys, I'm looking for this guy named Rick Grimes. So Daryl's obviously like, bingo. They bring him back to Alexandria, and like I said, just as Rick blasts Pete in the face, his old buddy Morgan shows up from the very first season, the very first guy to take Rick in and send him out onto his journey. Watches Rick go nuts with blood all over his face. So that's where things ended. There was some sort of an after scene. So after the credits rolled, there was an after scene that showed one, Michonne thinking about putting her katana back on the mantle, but actually strapping it back on, which means, hey, these people now know that they have to go back to being who they were. They can live in Alexandria, but no peace and rest and all that crap. You got to be on your guard. We also got to see the Wolves people reset their trap and paint on the car, "Wolves not far," or something like that. And that's where it ends. So obviously we're setting up for this Wolves showdown probably in season 6. Alright, so that is the recap of Conquer. Review-wise, like I said at the beginning, it was a different type of The Walking Dead finale. We're usually used to some major event taking place, the survivors having to completely reorganize themselves, you know, be it the prison getting overran, so on and so forth. Last year they get trapped in Terminus. None of that really happened this time, and I don't know if I liked that or didn't like it. I mean, I did like the story. I liked the build up to Rick's trial, and then Rick ultimately proving to everyone that they do need him, and they do need him to be a little nutty. The things with Sasha and Gabe and their fight in the church, and now they're buddies with Maggie. That's all weird. I just want Gabriel to die. Like the other thing, Carol, I thought was fantastic. She's been great this entire season. Really showed her true colors and her diabolical schemes in this episode, so I appreciated that. But in the end, it wasn't that shocking. Didn't have any major cliffhangers outside of the wolves are near type of the message we saw. So, not a fantastic finale of The Walking Dead, I'm not going to lie. It wasn't bad, it was still great TV, but it was not the best episode of the season. It was definitely one of the worst finales for the series. So with that being said, I'm still going to give it an EB, Entertainment Buddha, 85 out of 100. I think it sets up a lot of good things for Season 6. They're obviously going to have a new Alexandria where Rick's probably going to play a much bigger role than he already has been playing. And we're obviously going to get reintroduced to Morgan, why he's been following Rick, as well as these Wolves people. What the hell are they doing? Why are they stealing things, stealing people, and etching W's in their foreheads? So we will have to wait until next fall, people. The Walking Dead is on a break. So no more video recaps and reviews from yours truly, but that doesn't mean you still can't go to entertainmentboo.com on a daily basis and make yourself a better geek one post at a time. As always, I'm Matt Haywood from the site. Hopefully you've enjoyed these video recaps and reviews of The Walking Dead. Maybe I'll implement them for Game of Thrones or something like that. So, as always, appreciate it. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, whatever, you name it, entertainmentboo.com. Brains!
entertainmentboo.com